Welcome back to Climate TV with me, Eduardo Gonçalves. Today I'm joined by Emma Stewart from Autodesk. Emma, thanks very much for joining us. First of all, what is Autodesk doing to tackle climate change, and is there a business opportunity for you there?
We are committed to tackling the issue of climate change because it is hugely material to our customers. So, as a software company that serves the engineering, the design, the architecture disciplines, our customers are literally making environmental decisions every day that can lock in environmental footprints for 50, 100, 150 years hence. So, whether they know it or not, they are climate actors.
So you've created this new tool to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions called the Corporate Finance Approach to Climate Stabilizing Targets. Tell us what that actually means in practice. And also, it's something you've made open source. Why did you do that?
In 2009, the company had done a carbon footprint for a couple years, but had not set a greenhouse gas target. And when we looked at the footprint, it was tiny. It was a majority of those emissions were in our supply chain. And so we looked at what was considered best practice of the day, and were thoroughly disappointed. We wanted to explore what a more robust and rigorous approach would look like. And when I took it to my CEO, who is himself a mathematician, we had a robust debate about the merits of this methodology. And in the end, he approved it, which was delightful to me, in part because it was actually a 10-year commitment, which was the longest I believe the company has ever committed to anything. And then we felt that this was a pre-competitive practice, but could lend us great credibility with our customers, with regulators. And because there was so little out there on science-based targets, we made it freely and openly available.
We've been talking a lot, actually, at this event about science-based targets. Why is it important to align your own carbon mitigation strategies with those science-based targets?
If we are able to reduce all of our scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions in line with climate science, we've arguably done our fair share, or arguably done more than our fair share, because scope 3 are ultimately other people's emissions. So it's had reputational benefits, of course. But internally, it's also pointed us to waste in the system. Travel was one of our leading sources of emissions, and we've invested millions upon millions of dollars in virtual conferencing, including very high-quality virtual conferencing like telepresence systems, which has the corollary benefit of reducing wear and tear on our employees. So it's had retention benefits.
Talk me through some of the key steps that you're taking as a company to, really reduce carbon emissions.
The reductions in travel have been pretty significant from one year to the next. We've also looked and worked with our data center vendors. So we purchase a good amount of compute power, and then we have some direct suppliers of data centers. And of course, being a software company, moving from desktop products to the cloud, we actually recognized that in some ways we were inheriting a huge amount of emissions, because what had been an emission that theoretically occurred on the desktop of our customers was now something happening in our cloud. So we accounted for that, and we've actually felt we now have more control over reducing those emissions.
There's quite a lot that you've been doing there. Where would you say that you are now in terms of your journey? And where do you see yourself going? Where do you want to be?
So we want to be the leading provider of sustainability solutions to the design community. And we're told that that will be about 75% of the market by 2020. So we have to be the leading provider of sustainability solutions if we want to remain competitive. Operationally, we're on track. So we have met our science-based target every year, which represents about a 38% absolute reduction since we began in 2009. And we don't see any signs of missing that. So operationally, we're on track. We've just committed a few months ago to 100% renewable electricity by 2020. We've also made the commitment around responsible climate policy.
Obviously, it's the big year for the climate negotiations. What can a company like yourselves actually do to help raise the level of ambition and get the sort of outcome that everyone says that we need to avert runaway climate change?
Well, I think having a global price signal is very important. Companies are actually stepping up and setting these internal shadow prices. I'm interested by the fact that ExxonMobil's shadow price, internal price on carbon, is almost twice that of the White House's. I think that's fascinating. And so global companies like ourselves, we struggle quite a bit with regional compliance mechanisms. We would much prefer that the cap and trade systems are linked, for example, between California and the one that was just announced this morning in China, and then, of course, the European trading scheme. And that gives us long-term planning horizons, which is ultimately critical to business success. So I think a clear price signal and a global mechanism would be welcome at COP.
Emma Stewart, thank you very much. That was Emma Stewart, who's the head of sustainability solutions at Autodesk. That's all we've got time for today. Do join us again soon. From all of us at the Climate Group, goodbye.